It is a gorgeous day in Hawaii. One of the most gorgeous places on earth, right? The sun is beaming down on waves that cascade with a perfect cadence. And I'm ready to hit the beach. I am bounding down the shore, rental surfboard in hand, about to go out and surf. I get on the water, start paddling out, look around, and to my dismay, I notice the beach is very crowded. Turns out I am not the only genius who had the idea to go surfing on this perfect day. But then out of the corner of my eye, I see an untouched part of the ocean. It's vacant, it's pristine, it's untouched, and it calls out to me. It's beautiful. Oh yeah, and of course, I don't notice this as much, but it's also past a red flag on the shore. Can't be that much of a big deal, right? It's vacant. Instinctively, without even missing a beat, I turn my board towards the vacant part of the ocean. Start paddling out. And once I'm there, angle my board back to the beach and wait for the perfect wave to catch. Nothing. A couple of bumps, mini waves, but not something strong enough to ride back to shore. At this point, I'm even more dismayed. My rental window is running out, and I want to make the best of my time. So I figured the best course of action is to paddle back to the shore and to scout for good waves to go out and catch. So once again, I start paddling. Now, a little bit of context. In order to get the confidence I had to take on this solo mission, I had been surfing for around 3 years, all over the world with lessons, and that's what inspired me to go off and do this on my own. So I was feeling good about myself, until I realized that the paddling wasn't getting me anywhere. Something was wrong. Do you all know that in any thriller movie, the one character that is blissfully unaware of the danger that is looming behind? The perfect example that comes to my mind is that girl in Jaws, when she's swimming in the intro of the movie, and as the audience we can hear the da-dun, da-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. You get the point. You see, turns out I was blissfully unaware of the danger I was in, and I did not hear that music. I realized a little too late that turns out I was caught between two swells of waves that were moving in sync. So regardless of how hard I paddled, how hard I kicked, I just wasn't getting back to shore. So that's what the red flags were there for. I thought that might be useful to remember, but it hit me like a brick once I was in that situation. The gravity of the situation starts to get to me. I start getting nervous. Every fiber of my being wants to scream out loud. Am I gonna die here? Am I stuck here? Should I scream for help? Should I frantically wave around? But then I breathe. I need to keep my peace. It's a beautiful day, after all. It's gorgeous. But I also need to get out of here. So I think to myself, and what I realize is that since the waves are pushing me back and forth in the same place, all I have to do is to take 2 steps forward while being pushed 1 step back. But my paddling wasn't enough, so what should I do? Aha! I realize I'm not in that deep. I'm probably closer to the ocean floor than I think, so maybe I could use the ocean floor to push me towards the shore while paddling at the same time. So I give it a shot. Board in one hand, I descend. Find with my feet to see if there's anything to push off of against, and I find a rock. Amazing, this might work. I push off as hard as I can, rise up in one fluid motion, and use the momentum to glide. I relax, get a few paddles in the meantime. But this is worth a shot. I try it again. Descend, find something with my feet. This time it's just the ocean bed, it's sand. But I push as hard as I can, rise back up again, and glide. And while I'm exhausted, I'm terrified. I keep telling myself to push myself, to push. Until after a couple of repetitions, the ocean floor is shallow enough for me to rise up, grab my board, and walk back to shore. And let me tell you, it was the best walk I have ever taken. My God, I was exhausted, I was tired, I was scared, but at the end I was victorious, and I decided to trade my rental surfboard back in for a beer. That was enough surfing for today. Now looking back, I realized why that vacant part of the ocean truly called out to me. More than just the secluded location and the ability to surf great waves, I realized why that was such a big call to action for me. Between growing up in India being very sheltered in a schooling system that emphasized memorization over mindsets, as well as an ADHD diagnosis at a very young age, I felt like my life was a script that was written for me. Oftentimes I felt like the opportunities to think independently, to think about creative solutions, to think outside the box were limited to few. It was when I left for college that I found myself subconsciously just really seeking out opportunities to use my creative thinking, to be independent, to be out on my own. And despite this being truly a near-death experience with the danger of the swell, I am glad that happened because that proved something to myself. I learned that when the chips are down and your luck has run out, I had what it takes to think on my feet. Turns out all you have to do when you're struggling or in a bind is to breathe. And I guess it doesn't help to avoid literal red flags, right? That's probably a good survival instinct. Thank you.